viewers and listeners. Welcome to the very first episode of the Millionaire Health Habits Program. My name is Neofitou and I'm a freelance filmmaker and journalist. And today we're going to be going through the program with its creator, Dr. Prabath. How are you today, Doctor?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm a bit nervous.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a lifelong passion to do this project one day, and then today's the day after I postponed it so many times, in a very, I don't know whether it's a marker from heaven or, I don't believe in God, but I think the fact that one of my patients that I've known for 19 years died today, after battling chronic kidney diseases, diabetes at the age of 50 something, is some, I suppose, sign for me to do it, I think,
Yeah.
So I'm really passionate about this program, and hopefully I can do it in the next 1 to 2 years time, slowly, because I want to send the message to, especially like a person like you. You're 20, your journey would start soon.
Throughout each episode, we'll be breaking down Dr. Prabath's program. Each episode will dive into different sections of the program, but for today's episode, we're going to start from the very beginning, where Dr. Prabath started and how he came to create his program. So, Dr. Prabath, where did this idea come from, and how long in the making has it been? What's your story?
Okay, I suppose, Amelia, the idea came a long time ago, I think about 5-6 years ago, because I've been a doctor in Australia for about now more than 16 years, and during that span, I would have seen, let's say, a 30-year-old that met me at that time, and then who started the journey as a middle age, like an early journey, and most of those 30-year-olds that I'm seeing now at 45 is now carrying a chronic disease, whether it's obesity, hypertension, diabetes, ischemic heart disease, cancers. In Australia, for example, can you guess what's the percentage of obesity?
I think it's pretty high, isn't it? Is it like 60? No,
yeah,
50?
about 40%.
Okay, 40%. I was a bit too high. yeah,
quite high.
Quite high, but not that high. All good, all good.
And I suppose worldwide, the prevalence of chronic disease is almost 50. That means almost half the population would have chronic disease right now.
So what the age is that from?
This is the population as a whole.
As a whole, okay.
Yeah. And then I thought, because as doctors, we are trained just to treat. I mean, for example, in American colleges of medicine, they are only taught preventive medicine only about, I think, 1 or 2 hours only.
Okay.
Because the system is designed, unfortunately, to make money.
Yeah.
It's not designed to make us healthy. It's designed to
to run the system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's designed, unfortunately, to actually diagnose a disease without going into the reason why the person got the disease in the first place. Let's take your example of obesity. Everybody wants to go on these new injectable medications, Ozempic,
it's
Mounjaro,
very popular,
very expensive, and these companies make billions of dollars every year, which is fine. But the problem is they don't want to spend that money to educate the public about prevention, because
better alternatives to treat that sort of.
Exactly. So I thought, obviously, I can either play the game. The game would be to be a poster boy for drug companies all the time, and medicating the patients, which is the lesson that was taught to us. But then
so when you were when you were learning to do medicine, that's what they were teaching you mainly?
Yeah, mainly there. And I think in Sri Lanka, where I was born, actually we had more preventive medicine called community medicine. So I think in Sri Lanka, being a poor country, the amount of hours we had for prevention is far higher than the American system. Right? American system downright doesn't have any education about sleeping, healthy eating habits, because physicians are not meant to be there.
Yeah, right. And what's it like here in Australia?
In Australia, the same, because we
Yeah.
follow the American pattern there. That's why we are right with the Americans.
Because we're so influenced by them and their systems. Yeah.
System there, you know. Before I die, Amelia, because I'll be turning 50 next year, you know.
You've still got a while.
I know, but I just want to do this for the sake of my generation, my kids, and probably you know, because if we don't do it, we are, for example, we are talking about these numbers in the current generation, right? But then look around you, what we're eating, you know, I mean, you know.
And what people, like, what so much is put into the food as well, like all the microplastics and whatnot.
Microplastic, you know, the coloring agents, you
know.
Almost 80% of the food you're eating is not food. These are ultra processed food, you know. And the thing is, food industry, they just say eat cereals, you know, and then that's not a breakfast day, you know. But anyway, we are going off the topic, you know. But the reason I wanted to do the project was I thought I wanted to create like a template or like an operating system. Like for example, if you're a religious person, you'll be reading a Bible. There'll be like whatever the verses are there, you know. In Quran, they have certain verses, you know, like more like a system.
A health Bible.
Health Bible, exactly. In a way, like a health Bible there, you know. And to get this Bible going, I had to, over the last 5 years, I normally read one book per week, and then I listen to one audio book per week, you know. And then I do read these mini books called Blinkist, you know, which is a summary of books, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so thereby over the last 5 years, I have read more than easily 1,000 to 2,000 books, you know.
And that's where you get most of your knowledge and structure for the program.
From there, you know.
Obviously, as well as like medical skills and your years as doctors.
Yeah, you know. I didn't want to really only be a doctor here because doctors are very narrow-minded. I realized long time ago, when I was about 5 years ago, when my journey started, I was only focused on making money.
Okay.
I mean,
well, it's what you need to survive, especially if you move. When did you move here?
2009 to Australia. You know, as a migrant, then obviously, you know, you come with nothing, zero, and then obviously, first couple of years you have to really survive. You know, one of the reasons I want to come here was. In Sri Lanka, I was, stuck in a situation. No, you know, same thing. I've always been at home, you know, with my parents. I got married. I was not growing. You know, I've been a very growing up a very meek and suppressed person, you know, because, you know, my parents were there, they were dominating me, you know, and then I know typical Sri Lanka story, you know. I wanted to get out of that situation, you know, come here, you know, and I didn't come for anything else, just to get out of the culture and everything, you know.
You were just stuck with being in that system and wanted to branch out.
Break out there, you know. And then I came here, and that's my. Then after a while, during 2019 COVID crisis, you know, and I had a good life, you know. I had a medical center, you know. I was making money, you know.
How long were you running the clinic for?
About now COVID? 10 years there.
Oh wow! Yeah.
You know. So then I realized during COVID there was this feeling we were all in that stuck in a coop situation.
Yeah, Melbourne had it the worst.
And during that time, I started to complain about my life, you know, thinking, you know, it's too miserable, too boring, you know, when the whole world was suffering, you know, because it's probably being selfish, you know, because I was only looking at the financial aspects of my life, you know, and then suddenly I complained to my wife about how boring life is, and then within a couple of days I had a situation where my health was taken away from me, you know. I lost all ability to even walk, you know.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because obviously I was having a severe headache that went on for about 1 month, and then I realized when I was lying in bed without able to getting out of the bed, all the things that I really complain about, you know, I would have loved to get my boring life back.
Yeah,
To be able
because
to-
you started getting those severe health issues,
Severe
and
health
it
issues,
really
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, then I thought obviously no point. And during that time, so I lost my health. Then I was so depressed, angry, frustrated, you know, so I lost my mental and spiritual health, you know.
Yeah, and you felt like a disconnect between all of it?
Yeah, all
or-
of it,
yeah,
you know. And then obviously I was making money on crypto market, stock market, but then there was a meltdown, you know. I lost
Okay.
all my savings and all the profit I made was all wiped off, you know. And then so I lost my financial wealth, you know. I was not poor, but still lost,
Yeah,
you know, lost
yeah,
there,
it
you
would be
know.
a big hit for you. Yeah.
And then basically, then I realized need to do something about it. But even before that happened, I was acutely aware that something was wrong with our system of being a doctor, you know, where we are treating only once the patient goes down, we treat. Let's say I see you now. I mean, let's say I see you as a 20-year-old, you know, and then you start to not you. Let's say assume that you're a person who always only eat junk food, start smoking. You know, I see you at 20, Amelia, and then I ask you questions about your lifestyle. Then I can very fairly predict what will happen to you when you're 40.
Yeah.
Because I've done it for about 20 years, you know. Okay, but then we are meant to look away from you. You know, you tell me, doc, I'm only eating fast food, you know, I'm mostly eating fast food and drinking Coke every day, you know. Those are the patients I see in my medical center. The medical center is more filled with a lot of migrants, you know, as well as white Australian from a poor socioeconomic background.
Okay,
you know.
yeah.
And then the unfortunate problem is that's the middle class.
And not everyone has the educational or like financial stability to actually care, or not even care, but just like be in a position that they can constantly be caring about their health with their like eating habits and everything like that. Yeah.
The problem is you can care. What I'm trying to say here is everybody get into that middle class train. Or the tunnel, I call it, you know. It's a very long tunnel. Let's say for me, I got into the tunnel at about 30. Came to Australia, got married, you know, got the home, you know, got the mortgage, got married, you know, and all the burden comes onto you. You know, it'll happen to you later, Amelia, you know, so it'll, you know, that's what happened to me. That's what happened to all our middle class, you know. And then what happens? We get saddled with all the financial burden, you know, job burden, kids burden, you know. So we put our winkers down and start on that very narrow tunnel.
Because you got to make sure you're constantly getting everything right.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. You know? So you are riding on that tunnel, a train, you know, and then you can ride that train in two ways. One would be only looking at the financial aspect. And then, for example, you can buy a bigger home, bigger car, and then you can always buy branded clothing, you know, because you know, we are designed as middle class.
Looking for that
higher, you know, because I see my patients coming to see me. They all come in very nicely dressed up in their, you know, Tommy Hilfigers or all wearing Apple watches. But the moment I tell them go and see a specialist, no money for that.
Yeah, right. When it becomes about their health.
Nothing there.
Yeah,
you know?
it's all about the outside.
Outside there, you know. So that's what I'm trying to say here. You could still live a good life where you reduce certain burdens to yourself by probably having a smaller home, not an expensive car, and using that money for your health. Because if you do not value your health, so that after 30 years in that tunnel, either you can get out of the tunnel as a 60-year-old, as a patient with hypertension, diabetes, obesity, and that poor guy who's looked after his family all his life, you know, get to spend the last 20 years of his life being a patient, coming to see me every week, you know, that's not living, you know. Or you can try to go to that tunnel, valuing your physical health, mental health, time wealth, and get out of that tunnel as a 60-year-old without chronic diseases. And I'm living proof, Amelia, that it can be done. The reason I'm saying it very clearly is I'm 50 next year. Now, 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I couldn't run 100 meters. I had never done any exercise my whole life, I would have been like about almost 70, 90 kilos with a big belly,
Yeah.
And then all I'd done was go to work, come home, eat, stress eat, ice
Yeah.
cream,
Yeah.
living the life, buy more, drink more, everything in excess there, And, I bought a very expensive car, because it's about
fulfilling yourself.
Yeah.
Quick fixes.
Quick fixes there, trying to compare yourself to others in social media,
Yeah.
And then, so you bought the cars and everything. And then, so I was extremely unfit. But after that incident, or before that, I suddenly realized how unfit I am. I started to change by running a small distance, and then everything, you start to run more, and then after about now 5 years, I can run the same day. I can run 10 kilometers, go for a 25 kilometer bike ride, and then do rowing upstairs in my gym, and then I can still go and play with my son badminton for another 1 hour, and I'm still able to do a hike in the evening. So that's the level of fitness I got into, simply by following routines and habits.
Yeah. And do you think you started doing that because you realized how much of a toll it was, that lifestyle that you're having before was doing on your body?
My body there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, if I don't do it, how can I tell my patients to be a better person if your doctor is so unhealthy? And but the problem is that's one thing only, because during COVID crisis I told about, I was pretty fit, but then I achieved my physical wealth, financial wealth. Obviously, I'm not a millionaire. I have a mortgage. I'm still going to work, But it's about having one important thing, one single word, which is knowing the time enough. I got that enough time, enough situation about 3-4 years ago after COVID. I realized, I thought to myself, even if I don't buy another car, another home, I came here as migrant, what I have is enough.
Yeah.
Obviously, it doesn't mean to say I'm not going to try to get more, but that's my baseline.
Yeah, you've got all the essential things that you need to give yourself happiness. And then that's just like, other than that, is just focusing on yourself and your family. Right?
But problem is, during 2019, when I had enough, I was not happy.
Okay.
That's human nature.
I feel like a lot of people find that it's like, once I achieve everything that I want, where do I go from there?
From there,
as well.
Yeah. Because that's called, there's a nice word for it. It's called arrival fallacy.
Okay.
So that is the dream where you say, let's say you want to be a director. At let's say 35 years of age, you become the best director in Australia. You achieve a target. But then after that, you would experience the situation. Now what? Now, because that's the arrival fallacy. For me also, I'm thinking. I always thought my happiness will depend on achieving things. I thought to myself, even if this program also wouldn't make me happy. Okay, if I'm going to say to myself, if I become a successful person as a health educator, if I'm happy, but that's the end product making me happy.
Yeah.
When I become, let's say, for God forbid, I don't think I will be. Let's say I become the most successful health promoter in the whole world. But then if I'm going to think I'll be happy on that day, that will be really a bad situation. So so that's what I'm trying to promote here. So trying to promote physical health. Financial wealth will come when you have enough physical wealth and time, okay? And then spiritual wealth would be very hard to achieve for most people. I also don't have it, but that's what I'm trying to achieve. Okay.
Keeping an open mind to it.
Open mind, time wealth is something that I'm really keen on, because that's what something people don't appreciate. There are some people who I know who are very rich, but they are so rich, their commitments are so there, they don't have time to spend with their kids.
Yeah.
They're always on the go. I don't want to be that person. I stay home on today. I took my kids out, I could have gone to work and make money, because, and then I could have bought another car or something, but I don't want to do it because that's something I don't want to promote.
Yeah.
Because everything cannot be measured by money.
Yeah. Money shouldn't be no one's top value, in my opinion. At least. Yeah. It's all about balance.
Balancing,
and I think that's looking at the program so far and what's to come is like everything is just about having that really good balance and having a good space to create a good balance of everything.
And so then I thought the program was designed in a way I thought I want to incorporate those 5 pillars into my life, And then I thought to read everything I can find out about all those topics. So thereby I read from philosophy, human behavior, financial markets, even history, because history repeats itself,
Yeah, 100%. So go through the topics that are part of the program and what people expect from the program. And if you could explain why you think those 5 topics are really important.
I think topic 1 would have been physical health. The reason I thought that was important was I didn't have it. I didn't have it, compared to most of people in Australia who are pretty fit. I'd never been an athlete, I only been taught to study, and then go to university and then get a job, etc. So it's the same script there, Never in my life nobody told me to be fit.
Right, Is that a big thing in Sri Lanka as well? Is like it's not really taught?
No, not taught there, And then I thought because I was so unfit, then I realized I don't have physical health. I thought I'm going to achieve it. Then that's the reason I achieved physical health. And then second wealth was financial wealth. Financial wealth also I achieved it through working in the medical center, creating a business. But not only then, I realized that it's not about making more money. It's about making more money and keeping your expenses also down. Otherwise, your ego takes over. The moment your ego takes over, you want to have more things. So thereby, the gap between how much you earn and how much you spend is always the same. If you do the research into any millionaire in the world, if they ask you a millionaire how much more money they want to make them happy, they always quote more than 2 to 3 times what they have.
Oh, really? Wow.
There's this book I'm reading now called Stolen Focus, and in that book, the author has interviewed a lot of millionaires and billionaires, people who have 100 million, 200 million.
Still want more. It's insane.
Insane there.
So insane.
Exactly. Can you imagine what else you want?
So many people around the world with nothing.
Nothing there.
At all.
There. It's disgusting. And that's why I thought it's about financial health, but it's not about making more. It's about appreciating what you have also. Otherwise, you're forever ungrateful, wanting more and more. Then coming on to third wealth was the spiritual wealth. That's the wealth I realized when I was lying in bed for about more than 1 month, and then with a headache, couldn't get out of the home. I didn't leave this home for about more than 1 month.
Wow.
I came home. I was stuck in the upstairs room because I couldn't come down. For more than 1 month. That's the time I realized when I had everything during COVID, my stock market was going up. I was making a lot of money. I did not appreciate what I had.
And was that in the time where you were complaining a lot?
Complaining a lot. Complaining a lot there. Then I realized I have to start writing what I'm grateful for. Now every day in the morning I wake up, I write my journal, gratitude journal. I write 3 things I'm grateful for. At night time also I write what I'm grateful for that day. However bad day that could be, there is still something to write about, something grateful for. And then I come to the fourth wealth, the time wealth. I mean, back in that time before COVID, when I was very making money and everything, but I didn't have time because I had a bigger mortgage, a bigger car to pay off, you know.
As in, when you say time, do you mean like a good balance of everything?
Exactly,
like
yeah.
for work-life balance,
Exactly.
family balance?
Family balance,
yeah.
you know.
Where was it mainly towards in that? Just work or?
Work, and then, because I think, you know, when you buy expensive car, you need to go to work more for that car.
Yeah,
To give
right.
example, Amelia, let's say I bought a car, let's say worth, let's say 200,000, and you pay, let's say 1,500 per month, and that's like additional 1 day per month to go to work, or 2 days. So that's say 2 days per month, then that's about how many? So you got 12 months, you know. So you had to work 24 days more per year, and then you pay off the car in 10 years. That's about 240 days
Yeah.
of your life. So 240 days, give or take, the time you sleep is almost 1 year of your life.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, if you look at the...
If you look, on a wider scale. Yeah. Wow.
So why would you sacrifice 1 year of your life for something that you're going to only enjoy...
Showing your friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not a perfect person. I made mistakes, and I don't want my kids, you know, and I'm not asking people not to get rich and everything.
Yeah.
I'm asking to be mindful about these traps. And every time you make a choice to buy something expensive, think about the time cost. You know,
And how much of effect that'll have on your
family life, and how much time you're going to lose out. You know? And then the last one was obviously the one that we don't really talk too much, social wealth. You know, that's something I don't have too much because I've been always a very shy and introvert person. You know, because growing up I was under my father, who's very strict, you know, who really controlled me. So I'm not a very, like, you're a very bubbly, outgoing person. I'm a very shy and introvert person, you know. But there are friends I know who have a lot of friends. They go anywhere, they have thousands of friends. That's something people don't appreciate sometimes. Your friends.
Yeah.
People who have good friendships, they are millionaires. They don't know that.
Their own millionaires.
Their own millionaires. They are.
It's really, really important to have like to have grounding.
Grounding
like,
there,
and support from
there,
people.
That's why I want to name the program Millionaire Health Habits, because not everybody can be millionaires in financial, but they don't realize we all can be millionaires in physical health. You could be millionaire in your spiritual health. There's nobody stopping you to have more friends. You could be millionaires in social wealth. And if you do the numbers right and do not stretch yourself, you could all be time millionaires. You know?
Yeah.
Don't you agree? I mean, you know, for example, now compared to, let's say you're 20 now, I'll be turning 50, so you are millionaire in time. Because you have the whole life ahead of you. 8 years, and if you live for 100, 80 years. For me, my time is short. So I am time poor. You know, you have to understand when you're young, you don't appreciate what time you have, you know. So that's what I'm trying to say here, that you have to put a value to your time wealth.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So what is the actual percent of chronic diseases in the world?
Oh, okay. For that, Amelia, I have to read from this script, you know.
Yeah,
that's
go
fine.
for it.
Yeah.
Read out the facts.
Yeah, facts. I mean, I should be knowing them by heart by now, but
again, you're not a perfect person. That's all good.
Exactly. So I suppose let's talk about obesity. In Australia, what's the percentage?
40%.
40%.
Right? Yeah.
In America, 50%.
50%
right now.
But that's not even that much of a difference, really.
No.
And I've been to America myself, and the food is just insane. And the proportions and everything, it's just baffling. But it's very interesting that we're not even that far off.
Yeah. And second one would be basically, I mean, the average weight of a world population was 57 kilos in 1970, and now it's over 62.
Wow.
Over 62. And to give example, Australian male was in 1970 was 67, now 87. So 20 kilos gain over the period of that time, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. And then globally, over 10% of population live with type 2 diabetes, okay, which is over 500 million now. 500 million, you know. 50 years ago, it was only 3% of population. Hypertension was only about 5% in 1970, now is 32%. So thereby, if you add all the chronic diseases together, almost half the world population is living with either one or two chronic disease
Wow.
at that time, at any given time. You know.
And that's changed over how many years?
We are talking about from 1970 to 2026 now, you know,
wow.
which is about 50 odd years there, you know. And it's only going to get worse. It will not get better at all. You know. And then
and there's such an like we were talking about before, like with Ozempic and stuff like that, there's such a need for a quick fix all the time, and it's not anything to do with thinking about your future self at all.
You can't indefinitely take weight loss medications, you know, unless you change your lifestyle. The moment you stop your Ozempic, the weight will come back. Unless you're prepared to be on Ozempic forever and then spend $300 per month for the rest of your life, that's the money you saved by going on to that junk food. You know, you told me about, you know, you don't have money, or, you know, as a young person, you know, and so you made a choice, you know, to eat more like processed food, you know. That's a choice everybody's making now with the cost of living crisis in Australia. You know? And now going on to the actual, each year about 17 million die from a chronic disease before the age of 70.
In Australia?
No, in the whole world.
Sorry,
Okay. But the problem is, out of that 17 million, over 85% affect the lower to middle class. That's sad. Long time ago, rich people died, poor people died, but poor people died without obesity. But now they die with diseases. You know? And then, can you imagine what's the cost of the chronic diseases to the world in terms of loss of income and everything? Give it a go.
Like in what?
In millions. Let's say, what's the cost? You know, because as you know, when you have a chronic disease in the world, let's say America or Australia, it costs the government, isn't it? You know, because we have to get more doctors, you know, nurses, Ozempic medications and everything.
I have no idea. You're going to have to tell me.
All right, okay. As per the WHO cost there, the world loses $30 trillion annually for chronic diseases. Not billion, trillion, 30 trillion.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling there, you know. But do we?
Crazy.
That's crazy there. You know?
I would not have guessed anywhere close to that.
And but globally, there's a loss there, and the government spend over 8 trillion in the whole world to combat or treat chronic diseases. 8 trillion.
When that could be being put to helping so many different things in the world.
Prevented that. You know? And then, to give example, in Australia, the Australian federal government spends about 40 million in their
40 million
in prevention. Prevention, you know, like in terms of bowel cancer screening, breast cancer screening. Those are good initiatives. So the cost is about 40 million. But the actual loss of income and everything to the economy from all those diseases is about 35 billion. So you spend about 30 to 40 million to prevent, but then you could spend more. But the loss is about more than 40 billion. That's where the problem is. Because we don't want to fix the system, Amelia, unfortunately, because the system, you know, doctors, I would go bankrupt if all the patients are getting healthier. all the drug companies will go bankrupt.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the middle class, that I am a middle class person, you're a middle class person, we are the engine of the world. The moment the middle class is too healthy, the whole system would collapse.
Yeah, right. So as a doctor, you obviously deal with a lot of chronic diseases and you want the program to help with that. Do you think the new generation, my generation, is in any worse state with, with the introduction of TikTok or vaping or stuff like that? Do you think we're in any worse place or is it pretty much the same?
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's say, Amelia, now, when I was growing up, my mom, she has diabetes, and she gave me so much of sweet food. I'm really happy that I'm not diabetic, but it's a pure luck,
Yeah.
But the beauty was, even though I had a sweet tooth, back in my days, what I ate as sweet was all fruits.
Yeah, right.
Because I loved sweets, but because obviously growing up there was no McDonald's, Pizza Hut, Uber Eats, anything, so thereby I was pushed to eat for my sugar craving, like bananas, sweet food and everything, But this current generation, you be going in, and if you have a sweet tooth, what you'll be eating, drinking? McDonald's, Pizza Hut,
and
KFC.
it's so at the touch of the button,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, touch of a button there.
Yeah, because Uber's it's not like new, but it's like pretty, is it in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
Not too sure. But yeah, it's like, hasn't been around for that long.
No, not 10 years, less than 10 years.
Less than 10 years, yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying, that, so your generation, you are eating not food. You are getting ultra processed food. So thereby the risk to you in terms of cancers, diabetes, obesity, look around you. Look at your friends, how many people would be suffering now, And then you talk about TikTok,
I was just going to say, and food like affects so many different parts of it as well. Like, even socially, even like through your mental health, like the less foods that are really like real food will definitely like affect your like mental health and just the way that you feel about your body as well. I mean,
imagine now generation, you go through this eating this hyper processed food, you get into the sugar hikes, and then you crash down, and what you do, then again you eat another one.
It's stress eating and disorders and stuff. And TikTok does not help with that as well. Like I know we were trying to segue into that because there's so many like just horrible trends that go on, like, and it's just not healthy at all.
Not healthy at all.
Yeah.
The thing is, you should. We'll talk about that book later. There's a book called Stolen Focus. Every time, unfortunately, our focus has been totally eroded because the big companies is stealing our focus. Because every time you go offline, we are safe, but the moment you go online, somebody else make money. Whether through TikTok, or whether you go to Amazon, go into that rabbit hole, because so thereby our current generation will be pushed to go online all the time, sleep less, eat
just
more.
That quick fix,
quick fixes
the boost of serotonin.
Serotonin there, So the risk to your generation will be far higher unless fundamentally we do something drastically different. Drastic different would be things like a government taking over a part of the health, and say, look here, no more, like a sugar tax.
Well, they were trying to pass that a few years ago.
A few years ago. Why is it not passing? Because it's the big companies. They don't want to that happen. They're always taking it's a personal responsibility and shouldn't be government responsibility. But the thing is, government makes money out of you anyway. The moment you are unwell, you take medications,
And it's so hard. Like I find personally, like if I'm looking for a healthy alternative, it's so much more expensive as well. Like organic things or like, unless like you go to a market or something like that, but that's like completely different. If you go to the store and you want to get organic or just even like vegetables and stuff, it's so much more expensive than just like getting 2-minute noodles, you know?
Exactly,
And that's what personally I find myself, because I buy and cook a lot for myself.
Okay, good.
But because I'm short of money sometimes, you know, and it's like I'm always going to go for that cheaper option, unless like I'm cooking for someone else, you know. And that's what I've kind of got to learn. It's like I've got to learn to do the healthier option. But again, like as you were saying, like the tax, it's like so much harder because it's usually more expensive. But that's again like a thing with inflation and a whole nother can of worms. But just reminded me of that when you said
But I mean, let's talk about your situation. You told me that it's very expensive to buy good food. Okay. Now then what happened is you try to bypass and save money by buying junk food because it's cheaper. You know? Now when you make that choice, what's essentially happening is, let's say obviously you go to supermarket and then seafood is expensive, meat's expensive, all the fresh fruits expensive, and you end up buying 2 minutes noodle every day, you know. And then what happened is then you create that situation where the ticking time bomb starts. Either you think about and eating a healthy option and spending more money, or saving the money by going on to junk food, you know, because you have to survive. But then the long-term consequences of that choice would be, let's say somebody make that choice, you know, as a family, you know, and start only eating rice, noodles, etc. And that family would be going through obesity, diabetes in the next 10-15 years. So the money they save would be wasted when they develop obesity, diabetes, you know, because the cost of obesity and diabetes to a family would be about 3,000, 4,000 per year on average, minimum.
Is that through medication? Right.
Doctor's visit, you know. And then you have to also consider the things like a loss of your personal the lifestyle, because when you're obese, you can't do certain things. Quality of life is reduced, you know, and you have to put a price to it also. So the amount you saved by going in that choice would be wiped off once you get the chronic disease. You know? So what I'm trying to say here is, then you have to figure out, how do I eat healthy? Then what do you have to cut down? Then you have to think. You can think about our materialistic living. Then you can think about, do I need to buy my new iPhone? Do I need to upgrade? You know, do I need to get a glamorous clothing to look nicer? You know, shall I reduce that cost and use that money to eat healthy? You know? That's what I'm trying to say here. You know, it's a choice. Do not ever compromise your health and try to save money from compromising health, because then you're gonna lose big time when you're 40, 50, big time.
And I feel like a lot of people my age don't even, that doesn't even cross their mind, because they're like, because there's an increase in like depression, anxiety that I've like noticed within my own friends and this generation. It's always like not thinking about the future. It's always just the quick fix, you know? And especially with the use of technology and what we were saying was food as well. It's just always about that quick fix. I think one way you can always say to yourself is, I have this mental image of myself. You have to always be accountable for your future self, because your future self is not here, but you have to, whenever you make a choice, let's say, you know, every time you buy a Coke, you know, or you can mentally vividly imagine your 50-year-old. That's something you can always do, because, you know, people try to live in the present, but that's where one of the problem might be. We are only focused on the present time and being dopamine driven, because it's all about that satisfaction. You have to change that focus into a more future driven. It's hard, but I done it very gradually. So the program is not going to ask you to change yourself straight away. Anybody can look at the website and look at the 30 habits, you know.
The way it will work out, Amelia, would be, let's say you are the new viewer onto the program. You look at the website and then think about the blueprint of 30 habits. These are habits from, sleeping, mental habits, eating habits, everything combined together. And then you analyze your life and then try to find what are the things that are lacking in your life. And then let's say you choose one thing. Let's say, for argument's sake, somebody who always watches TV till about 2 o'clock and play games up until night time, and then while drinking soft drink, realize that's a bad habit. That person would need to change that habit over a period of a couple of months. So then,
it's not a quick thing at all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll be going to that topic, and then we'll be teaching that person through books I've read and my personal experience about a way to change that habit. Once you change that habit into a better habit, you go to the next one now. For example, I come this way. 5 years ago, I was nothing.
Yeah.
No exercise, no spirituality, no mental health, nothing. But then within the 5 years, I managed to achieve everything. Not 100%, but
a little bit of everything.
Everything there,
Yeah. It's just about a slow growth as well.
Slow growth, yeah.
For example, for me, like, I need to get into like a habit slowly. Like, if it's something to do with like exercise or something, like if I'm going to the gym, I'm gonna set myself small goals and then build up to it.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to become like a gym rat in a week.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just about having those small. Yeah.
Talk about small habits. When we go into the next section, which will be
the tools.
Tools needed. So the week one would be, or the first couple of months would be based on tools needed. Because it's very daunting to have. It's very easy to say, here's a blueprint, or an operating manual. Go and do it. It takes. I didn't do it. For example, being a doctor, it took me a long time to get here, to have all those habits I'm talking about. So I don't expect anybody to get them straight away. So I'm trying to give you, the viewers, the tools which will be habit formation, willpower, and mindset. So those are the three things that I'm going to start off with.
Yeah, because you can't just be like, do this. And people try and do it, but then because they don't have the right habits in place or mindset to do it, they don't keep up with that habit.
So for example, you talk about going to gym. Most patients, when I ask them to go to gym, what they do is they buy the gym membership, everything, and when I ask them after a couple of months how many times they've been, once or twice, because
it's hard to get into
it. But you have to make the habits very simple. For example, Amelia, when I go to bed every night, I have my gym clothes right bottom on my bed, right down my bed there. So every time I wake up in the morning, I change my clothes straight into my gym clothes. So you have to make the resistance low.
Not a big effort to do it.
Exactly. So. And then I wake up in the morning and then I go to my home gym and do my workout there. Likewise, if it's a bad habit to avoid, let's say you have a habit of always watching the TV or your Facebook, at night time, you need to make that habit harder, make the resistance high. So you just don't keep the phone with you at bedtime. Otherwise, you mindlessly scroll. So that's what
set restrictions
there. So make a habit that is meant to be beneficial, easier, and opposite would be the resistance should be high for a bad habit. And so then that's our next week.
Beautiful. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for the first episode. It went really well. I hope you're happy with it, and I'm very excited to see where the program goes.
Sure.